Welcome back, folks, to the Story of Moz Episode 11, the finale. Hey, if you're wondering about the hat, well, there's a story about that coming up. And listen, towards the end, I'm going to pose a question, which might get some thought happening, and I'd like to get your feedback on it. So sit back, relax, and this is the final leg with Moz.
Let me tell you a story about a man named Moz who travelled with mining in Oz. Then came the day it was time to pull up stumps, retire from mining and settle without bumps. Tablelands, that is, way up north, far north Queensland.
Well, folks, this may be a little long, but I'd like to get it closed off and finalised. As you saw from the last episode of the Story of Moz, I went into contracting for myself and contracting my services, and I was eventually taken on by the company that basically made me redundant. So I was back in the operation, which I know very well. I was asked to review the refurb schedule and costs for the processing plant with a view of optimising these functions. So yeah, we got started. I had a handful of people already there on the care and maintenance. There was a maintenance superintendent, electrical superintendent, a production superintendent, and a crane driver and another body, a fitter and an operator. So there was only a few of us there. The place was in care and maintenance. We were carrying out a lot of the refurb functions while in care and maintenance with any parts and equipment that was already on site. We rebuilt pumps, etc. There's a few photos behind me of what the pumps started out like and how they were completed. And then from the refurb works, we went, well, from the care and maintenance basically, we went into refurb. Again, there's a few photos behind me. Part of the refurb works was doing some environmental works. And as you can see again from the photos, we dug out all contaminated waste from the sediment ponds, the catchment ponds, the sediment dam as well. You can see there's blue colouring there. So all this was scraped up. We actually got some environmental people in who dug some pits in the sediment pond just to work out how deep we could go to get rid of all the material. And all that material was then carted and disposed of in the tailings dam in an appropriate area. So yeah, and we used excavators and the trucks that were already on site. Again, our own people were doing that, and we're slowly building up the refurb crew with maintenance people, etc. All on contract just to get the plant up and done. So this leads me to the hat. When we first started, we were on care and maintenance, doing some works around the place. And what I used to do was basically walk around everywhere, walk around through the sites, through the tails dam, all over the place, just catching up with people, asking them how they're doing, not necessarily the work they were doing, but you know, how they were themselves, you know, just general chat and keeping in good with them. And because I walked around on site, I always carried a radio, and I announced where I was going. Like if I was walking up the Hall Road, I announced that so that any trucks or anything that was travelling on that Hall Road to know that there was a pedestrian there. Anyway, come I think it was Christmas time, or just before Christmas, we had a bit of a do together. And one other thing I was doing was weekly barbecues. Every Friday we'd have a barbecue. A certain section had put it on, so we'd get together and have a good time about it. So anyway, this one particular occasion, we just had like a secret Santa and given away gifts and to everyone that was there. And the guys, the superintendents mainly, got together and they figured with all my walking around, it is policy that vehicles that walk around need to have a flashing light and a flag. So hence they put together this hat with the flashing light and the flag that they wanted me to wear walking on around site. I thought it was quite funny. No, I didn't wear it around site, but the thought was there and it was excellent. So that's the story of the hat. Oh, some time back, I can't remember which episode it was, I talked about firefighting and I mentioned that it wouldn't be the last time that I'd be fighting fires. While we were on care and maintenance, I've got a photo of the site behind me. You would have seen these in the past, but you can see I'll point out the track heading up around the back of the plant where the nursery was for growing all seedlings, etc., for rehabbing areas. Basically along there we had a fire come through, and I'll flick through a few photos at the back here to show that, and with only a few of us, we worked on this fire to basically protect the site, mainly protect the nursery, which was right in the line of the fires that were happening around there. You can see the water truck and what we were using to work through this fire. For 2 days we actually worked on this fire. Overnight wasn't so bad. The first day we had to work through it. We thought we had it overnight. I kept going out to check on it, make sure it was all okay. Next day it flared up again. We had some wind coming through, and that's where all the main photos come from. Really working through and keeping this off the site. We contacted the Rural Fire Brigade to come and give us a hand, and the fire itself was actually started to encroach on the township, particularly towards the houses on the edge of town. So we called the regular fire and rescue as well, which came in to protect the we were all in there fighting fires, or trying to contain the fire, which we eventually did by the end of the day. We worked hard that day. She was hot. A particular story come to mind because the police got involved as well. They came to site and came on site to have a look around because we called the brigades up. And it was about that time where in Queensland they had some issues with bikie gangs. So they regurgitated or raised the consorting laws, which was some laws that go back to the early 1930s and thereabouts. So that and they worded in such a way as the motorcycle gangs and their patches, you couldn't have too many patches together, and that was illegal. So I had a bit of a laugh when we were up at near the Tails Dam. We pulled up, all the groups of us pulled up. There was ourselves from the mine, the Rural Fire Brigade, the Emergency Services, and the Police Department. And everyone's got patches like these sort of patches here, everywhere. And I knew the police officer. He was a local in town. And I sort of stridled up to him and said, we can be in a lot of trouble here. Are you going to arrest us all? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I look around and I see all these patches and we're all consorting. So is that going to be an issue? And he just told me to pull my head in and let's just get on with the job at hand. So, but yeah, I had my joke and he thought it was quite funny. I said, why? Anyway, that was the firefighting exercise. And it's funny about that, this is the extremes that we can get up this end of the world. About a week and a half after that, we had a severe weather cell basically hit over site and town. It was dumping water, there was 90 km/h winds, all in the space of about 30 minutes, to such an extent that the bakery in town lost its roof. As you can see some of the photos behind me, we had branches off trees and all that around the car park, water everywhere. And after it was all over, I went for a bit of a drive around and this is what I found back here. The nursery, which we fought to keep the fire off it and saved it. It wasn't to be. Mother Nature took over and basically blew it apart. So, there you go. You get you one way or another, he'll get you. So, yeah, there you go. So we had to fix all that up as well and get the nursery up and running again. But we worked our asses off to save it just for a week and a half later for it to get blown away. Anyway, it is what it is. You just move on and get on with work. Anyhow, well, we got up and operating, producing concentrate. You can see some photos here of the trucks coming to site, delivering ore to site, and some bubbles and product being produced, which was going to go off site and overseas. And we decided time to go back underground here in this particular operation. And to scavenge what ore was left over, such as pillars and etc. And you can see scrolling through at the back here, we did a breakthrough blast, which was an ore column basically close to the surface of the open pit. So it was all worked out so that we could blast through into the open pit and actually extract all that ore as well. You can see it going through it behind me. So yeah, that was very interesting. I've never seen something blow through to the surface, and here's some photos here of what it looked like from underground, looking back to the void that opened up to blue skies. So yeah, and we mined some more from there as well, just to keep the place going. And through that time, while we were operating, I eventually retired. So that's why the end of the final leg. I retired, and because I thought, it was going okay at that stage, but probably about 6 to 8 months later, it got into a bit of strife and had to wind down and make people redundant again, and so I'm glad in a way I missed all that. But yeah, that's what happens, and it's back up and running again now, so that's mining in Oz. So yeah, that was it, the final leg. Basically was the end of my time in the mining industry. So now, before I go, I'd like to just have a bit of a yarn about mining and how long mining has been around. I mean, mining, since the beginning of civilization, people have used stones and the likes, which they found close to the Earth's surface or on the Earth's surface, which is a form of mining. If you're gathering to make something out of it, whether it be stone or whatever the case may be. So it's been around a hell of a long time. The oldest known mine on archaeological record is the Lion Cavern in Swaziland. It was carbon dated to be over 42,000 years old. So, yeah, shows you how long mining's been around. Although there is some evidence that suggests that chert mines on the western bank of the Nile River in Egypt had been around for about 50,000 years. So, yeah, you know, mining's been around for a while. And when you think about it, pretty much everything you own or use has a direct or indirect relationship to mining. So it's basically, it's there apart from the air we breathe. And if you go and collect water out of a river using your hands and drinking it like that, or a leaf, okay? Although you could argue that gathering the leaves is a form of mining as well. Anyway, that's beside the point. So my question is, where would we be without mining? I'll leave you with that. Cheers.